What if there was a library that only opened when you slept? A place not marked on any map, yet holding all the lives you could have lived. Tonight, you'll drift into a quiet, hypnotic journey through fog, memory, and forgotten pages. Welcome to Infinite Tales. This is the library that only opens in sleep. Close your eyes and let the story take you. In the heart of a forgotten city, down streets whose names had long faded from memory, stood an old library. It was a stone building, half covered in moss, with broken windows and a wooden door that creaked open like it had been holding its breath for a century. No one quite remembered when the library had been built. Some said it was from the time of the First War. Others whispered it had always been there, before even the city itself. But what made the library special wasn't its appearance. It was the floor that didn't exist. The one people called asterisk, the sleep floor. Asterisk. There were no stairs that led to it, no maps that showed it, but there were those rare and quiet souls who, in the haze between waking and dreaming, had found themselves there. One of them was a young man named Amin. Amin was not extraordinary. He wasn't particularly ambitious, nor was he reclusive. He was simply someone who hadn't slept in years. Insomnia clung to him like a shadow. Some nights he tried music, others books, but nothing worked. His mind remained lit like a lamp in an empty room. One rainy day, an old woman sat beside him on the bus. Her voice was rough, her eyes dark with the weight of too many dreams. She said only this: "If you ever go up and see the room, don't come back." Amin chuckled. He'd heard strange warnings before, but that night something changed. For the first time in what felt like ages, he dozed off while sitting on a wooden chair in the corner of his neighborhood library. When he opened his eyes, everything was mist. A dim golden light glowed from the walls. Towering shelves stretched into the fog, and at the end of the hall, a small door. He stood, stepped forward. No sound from his feet, no echo, no breath but his own. At the far end, a plaque in faded, ancient letters read, "For the books that must not be seen." He entered. Inside the room was a round wooden table, and on it 7 books. No titles, no authors, just quiet. Only one of them was unlocked. He picked up the first book. The first page read, "The life you could have lived if you had answered that call." He turned the page, and suddenly he was somewhere else. Another body, another house, another name, a life that could have been. And it didn't feel like imagination, it felt like memory. From that night on, Amin returned. Each dream brought him back to the same room. Each night he opened a new book, and each one showed him a different version of himself. One where his father was still alive and a famous musician. One where he lived in the mountains as a quiet, reclusive writer. One where he was not even human, but a bird circling an abandoned city. He began to understand the weight of possibility. But then one night, he noticed a new book. He hadn't seen it before. Black cover, no lock, and on it, in faint silver letters, "Your true self." He opened it. The room darkened. The lamps vanished. The table dissolved. Only shadows remained and distant echoes. Laughter, crying, whispers in forgotten tongues. And then he saw himself, not in a mirror, not as a memory, but standing across the room. Same face, same voice, same soul, but heavier, like this version had lived all the other lives, felt every road, carried every ending. This version said, they were all real, but none of them were whole. Amin asked, which one is right? The other him answered, none. You are still walking to find who you are. And then he woke up. The morning light crept across the shelves. The wooden chair beneath him was warm, but he felt rested, truly rested, as if he had lived 1,000 years in one night. From that day on, Amin returned to the library every evening, and each time he fell asleep, the door would be there. Sometimes it led to a mountain, sometimes to a sea without a name, sometimes to a city where clocks spun backward. And only he knew the truth. There is a library that only opens in sleep, and inside it, if you're brave enough to read, you'll find the pieces of yourself you never knew were missing. You've just walked through a world that exists only in sleep, and yet, somehow, feels more real than waking life. If this story stayed with you, like a dream you can't shake, subscribe to Infinite Tales. The new journeys await, every week, one story at a time. Until then, sleep deeply and keep dreaming.